Hey everybody, welcome back to the Roundtable of Wraith. He is Ryan. I am Chris. And if Levi and Sam are the Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan of the team, I am the BJ Armstrong, and Ryan is the Tony Kukoc of the squad. But this week we've been talking all things Destiny, and here we are ready to talk about Destiny. What did I say? Destiny? Dynasty.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh man, I'm getting flashbacks here. Holy moly.
That's from the past.
PTSD. All right. Well, we're at one punt for the video so far after about 36 seconds. So
that's a quick one.
I know, right? Jeez, unbelievable. But we're talking Dynasty today, and we are talking Brute. So Ryan, I know you're pretty excited about these Brute cards, and you're looking to maybe after tinkering with some Assassin and Bolton, maybe diving into some Reinhardt here.
Yeah, I'm not a Brute player at all. That's more like Sam's kind of forte, but just looking at these cards, I'm kind of excited. I feel like the Majestics especially are kind of super powerful, or at least they seem that way from an ignorant Brute point of view. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about the class as a whole, and I think they got some cool tools in this set.
Yeah, I would say, we last week and, through spoiler reveals, we were kind of talking with the squad about how it seems like Brute is, one of the major winners from the entire set. So with that in mind, let's take a look at a new Brute weapon, which looks kind of like a kettlebell with two hands on the side, but it's it's called the Rock. R-O-K. Once per turn action, 3 resources to attack, 7 power. I mean, that's a big guy.
That is a big boy.
You're taking that 2-handed rock and just slamming someone in the face with it. But it says, very interesting clause here. Activate rock only if you have no cards in your hand. And then at the bottom it says, damage that would be dealt by rock can't be prevented. Very, very strange card, but a very, very high-powered attack.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, this is definitely a build around. Like, you can't just jam this in any deck and then just think that you're going to be able to activate this. This is like maybe once every 3 if you have Tunic, or do you play energy potions to try to get you there? Like, this is a very, very curious card, but it's very powerful. If you can get this attack and you build around and figure out how to activate this a decent amount, this is no joke at all.
Yeah. 7, and you can't. So just to clarify, if some viewers aren't aware, you can still block it to stop the damage, but there's certain cards like Oasis Respite that says prevent X amount of damage or whatever. So that's what that prevention clause is stopping. But yeah, I saw on Twitter someone had made like a collage of all the different ways you can accumulate 3 resources while having no cards in hand, using, like, to your point, potions, items, or equipment, or whatever it may be. But it was such jank, it was just unbelievable, because I can't really remember too many top of my head, but it certainly didn't seem to be super efficient, at least right now.
Yeah, you're probably taken away from the core of what Brute's trying to do at that point, which is, have 6s and discard cards and stuff like that. Or if you're playing Levia, like fill in graveyard and things like that. So if you're overcommitting to the rock, is it worth it at that point?
Yeah. But interesting. I think we touched on this last video in the warrior class. Seems like something that will kind of be fulfilling its potential sometime down the road. Moving on from the rock. On the screen here, you're seeing that Marvel weapon. Is it is it a Majestic rarity?
Yeah, they're all, I think all the weapons and things that have Marvel variants, I think they're all Majestic.
Gotcha. Makes sense. All right, we have another piece of equipment. This is pretty cool, actually. The Beaten Trackers. It's like a poor man's scab skins, leathers. But it's a 1 battle worn, 1 block battle worn. Legs. Whenever you discard a random card with 6 or more power, you may destroy Beaten Trackers. If you do, gain 1 action point. So I'm sure we've all been there where maybe you try to roll the pants and the dreaded number 1 comes up and you skip your entire turn. But, you don't have the 2 battle worn like the scab skin does, but you do have a guaranteed action point when you want it, as opposed to taking a chance on the die. So, again, nothing, I don't really think you're going to replace the 2 battle worn with this, but as far as a budget option, it's a very similar gist and gets the job done.
Yeah, it's cool. It's solid. It's more consistent. I think if you're if you're building your deck and you think that you're going to roll Scab Skins maybe one time total, why not just replace it and get the guarantee action point, you know? So it definitely could be, if you're less of a gambler and, you know, want more consistency out of your deck, and this might be the card for you. I think it's a safe bet, but if you're kind of glued to what Brute is trying to do and trying to accomplish, then yeah, roll them damn dice, baby.
That's right. Maybe get out them gambler's gloves and just start chucking. You know, every turn we're just chucking, even if you don't need it or not, just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some commons here. We have the first common is called, let me see here. Madcap Charger is the first common. This is a 1 cost, 5 attack. So we're not at that 6 mark. So it says an additional cost to play Madcap Charger. Discard a random card, the classic Brute clause here. If the discarded card has 6 or more power, Madcap Charger has go again. So I feel like there's some cards like this that are, you know, the 1 cost that are not 6 power. I can't remember many of them off the top of my head, but I think there's a couple of those. So maybe this kind of fits into that archetype of you're trying to go wide with the claws, or, you know, not always having that 6 power in your hand.
Yeah, I think this card is, you know, pretty good. I think what this set kind of did for Brute, along with some other classes, obviously, that we've talked about before, is this gives it kind of a different archetype. Like, you know, you don't necessarily, if you're going wide with a 5 go again, you don't necessarily have to stack up on the 6 triggers, because, like, especially with Reinar, a lot of his cards are like, just discard a random card, and if it's a 6 or something like that, and if it's not, you don't really lose a huge benefit. This would be one, obviously, where, you know, you're playing this card for the go again, so you want this one to be a little bit more guaranteed. But I don't think it really detracts from, you know, the rest of the deck if you have this in, especially if you're kind of going into it with a deck build that you're not doing the 6 thing. You're not trying to, you know, relying on the intimidate triggers or relying on hitting 6s on all your cards. Then yeah, then definitely this card goes in there. But if you're going to try to play more traditional, especially Reinar, then I think you probably put in some other cards. You skip this one over. But like, I think Pulping's a 6, and that's kind of a similar effect. Same with Wild Ride. The nice part about this card is it blocks. That's probably why it's a 5 instead of a 6, because I know, you know, Wild Ride doesn't block.
That's
Pulping,
true.
I don't think blocks.
That's correct. Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it's all weighing kind of brute. It's actually kind of ironic that the Brute class relies so heavily on like ratios and stuff like that, and like, hey, how many 6s, how many non-6s? Like, you have to really get it down to a science. Whereas you go in thinking like, I'm just gonna be a dumbass and just roll dice and swing. But there's actually some fine tuning that goes into this deck, and I think this is one of those cards that really kind of complicates that.
Sure. And then we have the yellow for 4 and blue for 3 on the old cycle there. So that is the Madcap Charger. Keeping on the Madcap theme, we have a Madcap Muscle next, so which is a 3-coster attack action card, 6 power, 3 block. The usual, as an additional cost to play a Madcap Muscle, discard a random card. If the discarded card has 6 or more power, Madcap Muscle has +3 power. So ideally here, we're spending 3 resources for a 9 power attack. And that's a lot of power.
That seems pretty good.
Yeah, what is a swing big is 2 for 8. So
yeah,
this is a 3 for 9.
Yeah, on par with Alpha Rampage, right?
Yep.
So yeah, this seems pretty good. You get an intim trigger if you hit it, and then you're getting a 3+3. I mean, in my mind, this seems like a pretty good ad. It competes with a bunch of other reds, so you kind of have to weigh what you want. I know Reiner doesn't want to be completely red heavy because he has to afford it, but I think this is this has pretty solid upside for a red. So I would like this. I would put this in.
Sure. Yeah,
my first build.
Yeah, the yellow is a 5 power, obviously, and then the blue going down to a 4. So, but yeah, we're looking at that red here for that base 6. Get that up to a 9.
Yeah, I like that card. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty cool. Next, we have Rumble Grunting. Look at this guy. Not happy about something. Just rumbling down there and grunting down there. Just, maybe drew a bad hand or something. Looking for a mulligan.
He rolled a 1 last.
He rolled a 1. Yeah, that's what it was. Looking for the gloves. This is a 0-cost action, 3 block. Play Rumbling Grunting only if you've discarded a card with 6 or more power this turn. Your next brute attack this turn gains +4 power. Go again. Kind of reminds me of, there's the card in Welcome to Wraith that's called Primeval Bellow, which is a 0 cost, discard a random card. Your next brute attack gets +4. So maybe you can kind of chain those together. That's like a +8 on an attack, but that's having the stars align in a pretty planned out way. But not to say you couldn't slam this in the arsenal and kind of wait for a good time to unleash it. But
yeah, this would work like pairs well with like a Blood Rush Bellow hand. Like if you're discarding a 6 from that, and then now you're getting +2 from Blood Rush, and then +4 from this. So that's a pretty huge swing there. Yeah, I feel like this is a little bit too niche. Now, if you go back to like Madcap Charger, if you're building around these discard effects where, you want to, you're going to go again, then yeah, you feel decent about Rumble Grunting in your arsenal or something like that, because like if you're going to draw a Wild Ride or Madcap Charger or Pulping or something where you're going to be able to get that second attack off, then this can safely get arsenaled. But if you're, I don't know. I think it's probably in just a go wide build where this is going to be good. If you're going to try to build like go tall or anything like that, I don't see it. Just because the risk of not, like if you discard this randomly, it's a huge loss because you're losing this card and you're not getting the benefit on the other card. So you really have to be careful of these non-6s that you're throwing in your deck. But yeah, it's interesting for like go wide builds. I don't think you run it in anything else.
Sure. It's kind of cool that in Welcome to Wraith, we had the bellows, which were giving additional power, and now we're grunting to give additional power. So maybe we'll have a belch or, maybe a fart next set, whatever.
There you go.
Yellow is +3, blue is +2. Got to have the cycles, though, give you some options.
Sure.
Let's go to some rares now. So here is an interesting rare, the Blessing of Savagery. So as we've seen in the last couple of videos, they're giving us auras now for all the classes, which is pretty cool. And this is a 1-coster, 3-block brute aura. At the start of your turn, destroy Blessing of Savagery. Then your next attack with 6 or more base power this turn gains +3 power. And this guy is looks like some sort of, look at this, blood ritual dumped on his head here. I mean,
is that Reinhardt like becoming the king of the
forest? What? I mean, let's just say it is. Looks like he's getting that. So
pretty sick.
Yeah. What do you think about this one?
I don't hate it. Like I don't know. It's brute blocks really well. And to get the +3, it's okay. They don't care about, I shouldn't say they don't care about it, but they're a little bit better with, opponents and stuff like that having full hands, because the Intimidate in general, like if you're playing Reinhardt, your opponent's really not committing cards to your block or to your attacks that often. So like you're used to facing down enemies that have their full hand because Intimidate prevents them from blocking anyway. So you're just dealing damage. So if you can stack this at the beginning of the turn and then have like an insane turn with like Blood Rush or something else, like swing big or go wide and into a swing big or something, now all of a sudden you're threatening, 17 to 20-ish damage because of this +3. I mean, I think I think there's a spot for this one. I don't really like the other blessings, but I think this one's okay. Yeah,
to kind of piggyback off what you said there, kind of like in a wizardy type situation, Reinhardt does, as you described, have that ability to all of a sudden just kill you when they strip your hand away and then they're attacking you for a huge chunk. So yeah, this can kind of play into that strategy a little bit of setting up that massive turn when they're at like 15 or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, this is a cycle again. So yellow is +2, blue is +1. And the last rare in for the cyclers here is a Reincarnate. This is a cool card to exist in the pool. It's a 3-cost, 7 attack, 3-block, and it says when Reincarnate is discarded at random, put it on the bottom of your deck. So reminiscent of a type of Drone of Brutality in a nerfed type way, but kind of gives you some legs against those heavier control slow type decks to make sure there's some gas still in the tank at the end.
I mean, yeah, as a yellow 6 with that type of ability, the recyclability, I think this card's fantastic. Like, I think Reinhardt definitely wants this card probably only in yellow, just because the red is relatively vanilla. But if you can get like a yellow 6, I mean, I wish it was a blue 6, but a yellow 6 will take those.
Yeah.
And you're not fatiguing yourself. So I think it is definitely a decent addition there, that if you do need an extra yellow or you find yourself short on resources, I think this slots in pretty well.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because the other ones, Madcap Muscle, the yellow is a 5, and Madcap Charger, obviously the red is a 5. So they're really not, or I should say, they cautiously insert these yellow and blue 6s into the Reinhardt pool, and justifiably so. They kind of keep those power cards at the red.
LSS is very scared of Reinhardt, like all the time. Like he doesn't have like a blue specialization with a 6. The only thing he still has is whatever the generic one from Wraith is.
The Sand Sketch Plan. Oh, the blue.
That's
his
special. Yeah, the blue 6 power, whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he doesn't, like, when Leviah came around, she got that one that nobody plays that costs 6. But it's still a blue 6 coster. That's, I mean, only in the deck because it's a blue 6, even though you never play that card for her ability. They're for whatever reason, like, you would think they would have like a Reinhardt blue specialization for a 6 attack that only he can run, but they still haven't done it. So you kind of take these yellows when you get the opportunity to, or when you get the chance, because I mean, you don't really have any other option. You have
for sure. Yeah, I guess this could probably replace like some people run yellow Smash Instinct. I guess.
Smash Instincts are like Riled Up.
Yeah,
I think Riled Up's pretty good.
And those are like, Smash Instinct is just a vanilla 6 power Intimidate card. So, but I guess depending on the metagame, this is something to consider for a slot. But look at him coming out of that. It's like Lord of the Rings, where they come out of the pool of muck or blood or whatever.
That's a good call.
The Urukai. All right, we have 3 Majestics here, which are pretty cool. So let's start with the Savage Beatdown. This is a 3 power brute attack action, 6 power attack, 3 block. Play Savage Beatdown only if you've discarded a card with 6 or more power this turn. As an additional cost to play Savage Beatdown, discard a random card. If the discarded card has 6 or more power, Savage Beatdown has +6 power. Yikes. So in the perfect world, we're playing this for a 3 for 12 with a Reinhardt trigger as well.
Yeah, I mean, potentially 2. I mean, this is like the dream Blood Rush. This is like the dream Blood Rush turn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you pitch a blue, play Blood Rush. This thing's an arsenal, and then depending on how many resources you have, you're going insanely wide there, and then you finish off with this beast of a card.
That's great.
I think this thing is awesome. It's a little bit difficult to play, but again, if you're building around this kind of go wide-ish thing where you're discarding 6s, then this thing is going to be available to you. I mean, I would imagine, like, you play Madcap Charger for a blue, discard a 6, you have a Tunic up, you're automatically now coming in 5 go again, and then 3 for 12. So that's 17 damage off of, with 2 Intimidate triggers, and that's just damage, baby. I mean, that's crazy.
That's insane. Yeah, you mentioned earlier about how Brute traditionally blocks very well, and they can kind of play a game similar to, like, a original Bravo, where it's like, oh, we'll block you out and just club you back, block you out and club you back, and kind of just chip you down until you can, arsenal a key card like this or the Blood Rush, and then you can kind of just then figure out when you want to hold your 5 cards and kind of go bananas to kind of catch back up, so to speak, in the damage race. So yeah, this is crazy, man. I mean, 3 for 12, and then it's just giving him now more density of these super high impact cards, right? You have the Swing Big, you have the Savage Beatdown, you have the Blood Rush Bellow, you have Alpha Rampage. So there's just a lot of choices here to be able to more frequently see these power plays than there were before.
Yeah, I mean, the problem that I always had playing Reinhardt, my limited testing, and it's probably just because I'm bad, right? But he has a very similar kind of ceiling that Bolton does because his hand constraints. So like he needs extra cards in hand because he has to fulfill requirements on his cards, right? This being discard a card, Bolton being charged. It's basically the same thing. But when you get cards like this, it allows that ceiling kind of it like nullifies the ceiling or the constraint a little bit, because now you're getting the power of 2 cards in the one, which makes it even. Instead of like, I'm going to throw a 2 for 6 at you, but I discard a card and I intimidate. So now you're not going to block. You know you're taking 6 damage, and then you can come back at me with your whole hand, mainly because you know that I can't do anything more than like the full 6. It was like he needs more cards like this. I'm glad that they printed this because he needs those kind of ceiling cards to really make up for his limiting abilities.
Sure. Yeah, like you said, you need the extra card, just like Bolton. So naturally, he's kind of at a disadvantage to begin with, in a way.
Yeah.
So
it was always like Guardian. Like Guardian, like was kind of like a one-trick thing. It's like, okay, yeah, you throw this huge thing at me, but I know that's it. Mm-hmm. And then they got Zealous Belting and Rouse the Ancients, and it was like, oh, okay, now it's different. Now you can go wide and still come at me with a Spinal Crush at the end. And that's kind of what Reinhardt has been missing, is that big like chain ender, which this clearly is.
Definitely.
It'll be interesting to see. Like, do you play this with Alpha Rampage? I need to start consuming brute content a little bit more. But from what I've gathered, I know Alpha Rampage has kind of ceased being a 3 of in some decks. Some people play it as a 1. Some people don't run it at all. Some people play it as 2. Some people swear by it and say it's a 3. So it'll be interesting now that you have this option. Do you still play Alpha Rampage and this and Swing Big all in the same deck? Or is there going to be like a kind of a shaving off of 1 or 2 of them?
Sure.
Swing Big, I'd imagine, is going to be probably a 3 of, because that card's just bananas. But yeah, it'll be cool.
For sure. That is the Savage Beatdown. And next we have a very, very cool card, Skullcrack. This is a 2-cost, 6 power, 3 block brute action attack. Very simple. When Skullcrack is discarded at random, gain a resource. I like this quite a bit. Very, very cool. These are the types of things that I think they are really going to, if they give him more Beast Within type effects, more Skullcrack type effects, more Massacre type effects, where if you happen to discard it, you gain some sort of, value there. So this is a really cool type of addition to his pool, I think.
Yeah, and this is the rock enabler, right? Like, this is one of the cards where you need, if you're going to play rock or if you're going to build around rock, then this is a card that you absolutely need. It depends on your build. I can see people not running this, and I agree with you, though. I do think this card's amazing. Like, I think this card is so cool. But it's not, I don't think this is just a card where you just jam it in any build and say, okay, this is going to be in, because it's red and you have to be careful about your red density. And I mean, surprisingly, Reinhardt has a lot of, I don't say surprisingly, but Reinhardt has a lot of power red cards. Like, his red cards are, I mean, amongst the best in the game in terms of like value and power level. So I don't think you can just jam more of them in and take away from, yellows and blues. I think you just have to be careful with which ones you put in. But like you said, I think, when you get discard effects like this, especially gaining a resource, that's the good stuff. If you're playing Pulping or Wild Ride or anything where you're going wide, or you're, rolling scab skins a lot and you're gaining those action points, then yeah, this definitely goes in.
Yeah, it's very cool. And on the bottom of the flavor text, it says, like most fruits of the forest, the good part's inside the shell. You really got to get in there and savor it to figure out,
Yeah, the first couple times I saw this card, I thought he was holding a raccoon by the neck. I don't know why I saw that. Like, I'm like, dude, that looks like a raccoon animal. And then I looked closer, and it's like, that's a bearded man.
Yeah, it's a guy
about to just mount and then just crush his head. And like, I swear, I was like, why is he messing with a raccoon? And I'm like, oh, that's a human.
Yeah, that's a human with a big beard. Yeah, poor guy.
he's not in a good spot.
All right. After Skullcrack, this card's pretty sick as well. This is called Berserk. This is a 1-cost yellow pitch brute action, blocks for 3, and it says, until end of turn, whenever you discard a random card with 6 or more power, banish it. If you do, reveal the top card of your deck. If it has 6 or more power, draw a card. Ooh, baby.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of text. It has to be good, right? Like, that's usually how that works.
Yeah, generally. But yeah, like, just to use the most high ceiling possible, I guess, talking about like a Blood Rush Bellow turn. If you can somehow Berserk into a Blood Rush and then discard a 6, get that card back, draw 2 more cards. I mean, that's pretty sweet. You can do a lot of crazy things with this if the stars align.
Yeah, this is such a, I mean, I've said this a lot in this video particularly, and this just shows my ignorance to the class. That's why I have to start studying the Brute Lords of the past. But this feels like a build around. Like I can't tell if this card is like Reinhardt wants this card or if it's just like a bad card. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this card. This card, it seems really cool. Like it seems like you said, if you have the ability to continue to go wide and continue to get cards in your hand and like save those action points, then this card is busted.
Yeah, I guess the floor of it is kind of underwhelming though. I mean, I guess at worst, let's just say you play it on a turn where all you're doing is say attacking with one of those attack action cards where you're discarding a 6. I mean, at the worst, you do get the card back.
So it's a 1.
Maybe
so you would have
maybe
you would have to probably hit 2 cards for this thing to be worth it, right? Like you would need, because the first time it just replaces itself and you're down a resource because it doesn't instantly replace itself.
Right.
So in order to go plus, you would have to hit both times.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So now with that, it does seem like it could flop pretty hard in certain situations.
We were hyped. That was a quick roller coaster. We were like, dude, this card's insane. And then it's like,
well, I guess, how about this? Bit. Yeah, we're at the top of the roller coaster, at the top of the ceiling here. I mean, this is pretty nutty, but
yeah,
when you whiff on it, it's just going to feel terrible, you know?
But this is also Flavor Town, right? This is the gamble you take. Do you put this card in your deck? Like I've been kind of browsing the Discord a little bit and just kind of perusing and trying to get acquainted with how things are. And a lot of people are talking again about Tear Limb from Limb, which was a card that I was really excited about when it was first spoiled. I think it was from Monarch. And then no one played it because it was like 2 variants. This is another one of those like, hey, the ceiling's great. Do we play for the ceiling or are we going to try to be civilized brutes and try to control our variants a little bit?
Gotcha.
So I like this. I like that it exists. I think it is you really have to build around it. And if you can get it going and you can get this thing to get 2 to 3 cards, then you're just destroying.
So something that is interesting as far as figuring out a ruling of a replacement effect here is if you, let's say you play a Berserk and then you manage to discard a Beast Within.
Yeah.
Because so Beast Within says if it's put in the graveyard from anywhere other than the combat chain, banish, then the thing happens, the Beast Within thing happens. But on Berserk, is it actually ever hitting the graveyard or is it just straight getting banished, right? Because it says whenever you discard a random card, banish it instead. So I think that would turn off the Beast Within.
It doesn't say banish it instead. It says banish it. So my ruling, and I think I read about this a little bit, but I didn't really kind of digest what they were saying. I believe since it's simultaneous triggers, Beast Within gets discarded first, and then it'll banish itself after that ability resolves. So I believe you get both. I think you get both effects. So you would draw from the Beast Within, you would lose some health, and then you would draw from Berserk.
You get to peek at the top card and see if you get to draw.
Yeah, and then potentially draw. So I think that might be dream scenario is if you can discard a Beast Within after this card is played, because then you're going plus immediately.
And to give LSS the benefit of any doubt, it would be pretty poopy if they designed this Berserk card in a way that turned off a super cool synergy with one of the classic payoff cards to this point for Brute as Beast Within. So let's hope that it does work in the best way possible. But
I'm pretty sure it does. But that would be, like you said, that'd be a major feedback. Because then it's you're playing this or you're playing Beast Within. You can't play both.
Right. Yeah. It'd be funny if it said Berserk and then parentheses it says no Beast Within. Period. And
the flavor text is don't ask. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, that is all of the Brute cards. So like you said, Ryan, I've played a little bit of Reinhardt casually. I haven't really played him at any big event or anything, but he's been one of the original heroes, and he did just do he won the calling at San Jose.
He did.
And there was another copy in the top 8. So that's pretty exciting. I want to say,
yeah, he's picking up steam. I mean, like, these mad lads just love, rolling dice and, cracking skulls. But I don't see how this set makes him worse. And, like, unlike the other sets or the other classes we talked about in Warrior, and if we talk about, if we get to Runeblade or some other set where kind of the cards don't make sense yet, I feel as though all of these cards were designed for Rhinar or Levi. I'm sure Levi is going to borrow, maybe Skullcrack or, Savage Beatdown or something like that, because I'm sure she likes these cards too. But I really genuinely believe or feel like these cards will fit in a version of Rhinar or Levi right now. Whereas I think I said it in Warrior, the Axe cards still feel as if it was designed for a hero that doesn't exist in the game yet.
Yeah, I would agree. And I appreciate you shouting out Levi there. We kind of left her in the dust this entire cast.
We did.
But except for Ethan Mansant, no one else is really brave enough to dip into those waters anyway. So,
yeah, if you want Levi takes on this, I'm sure Ethan's going to come out with a video soon. So listen to him. He is the godfather of Levi, obviously, as we all know. So these two idiots have no idea where to even begin with her. So...
Indeed, it's better we just don't even talk about it.
Don't even touch it
for everyone's sanity, and it's just XP. You'd actually probably go down in XP, level down a little bit if we were to do that. So
yeah,
but yeah, this has been the Brute cards from Dynasty, not Destiny, Dynasty. But if you've been hanging out with us this week, appreciate everybody watching. I'm sure Ryan and I have glossed over something that is pretty important with these cards. So make sure if that happens, when it did happen, let us know about it. Put it in the comments and we can kind of get the discussion going. But on behalf of Ryan, Chris, BJ Armstrong, Tony Kukoc, we'll see you next time.